Let's be honest. You finish a long day. You find yourself sitting in your car for a while. Not because you're lazy, because you're trying to collect yourself before you walk back into your life. Your phone is still lighting up. Your mind is still running. And your body feels like it's never fully came down. And you think, I'm supposed to be the steady one? We often expect leaders to be unbreakable, to hold it together no matter what. And yet, leaders break too. Not because they're weak, because they're real. This episode is about that moment when leaders fall and how they rebuild.
Waves rise, but rhythm stays. In the storm, we find our way. Kayak steady, heart awake. The total person today. Waves rise, but rhythm stays. In the storm, we find our way. Kayak steady, heart awake. The total person today.
So let me ask you, have you ever felt like you're supposed to be the strong one? The steady one? But inside, you're crumbling? Not in a way that everyone can see. In a way that shows up in your patience, your tone, your sleep. The way your chest tightens when the next problem that lands. That's your inner leader cracking under pressure. And that cracking moment is not the end. It's more often than you like. It's the beginning. Because once you see it, you stop lying to yourself. And when you stop lying to yourself, you can finally rebuild. I've been a leader for as long as I can remember. Never had a title. No boss, no team, no sign hanging on the door. Still, I lead. I show up. I own what needed to be done, even when no one was watching. I stayed calm when others got reactive. I carried responsibility when it wasn't mine on paper. I've learned early that leadership isn't about titles or applause. It's about presence. It's about being steady when things are good and when they are not. And while helping others, I found something unexpected. My resilience grew. My skills sharpened. My mind got stronger, and so did my body. And yet, that still doesn't make you invincible. Because pressure doesn't care how capable you are. Pressure just keeps stacking. And if you're the person who always show up, people start leaning on you. Not because they're trying to use you, because they trust you. That's the gift. And it can also become the trap. Because you can quietly start rebuilding your identity around being the strong one, the dependable one, the one who doesn't fall apart, the one who figures it all out. So when you start feeling worn down, you don't tell anyone. You tighten up. You push through. You keep the mask on. And from the outside, you still look solid. But inside, things start shifting. Here's how leadership breaking can look in real life. You start getting irritated at normal questions. Not because the question is bad, because your capacity is already full. You start making decisions slower, even though you're still smart, because your mind feels crowded. You start avoiding conversations that need your attention, not because you don't care, because you can't hold another emotional moment right now. You start doing more yourself, not because you don't trust people, because explaining feels like it's extra weight. You start getting more controlling, more tight, more alert. You start feeling resentment, and it scares you because you love your people, you respect your people. So why do you feel this way? Because your system is tired. And tired leaders don't just lose energy, they can lose softness. They can lose perspective. They can lose the part of them that used to feel steady. And then guilt shows up because you think, I shouldn't feel this. I am the strong one. I am the leader. I'm supposed to handle it. That's how leaders break. Not always in one loud collapse. A lot of time, it's quieter than that. It's a slow bend. And the thing is, you can keep bending for a long time. You can still perform, still show up, still get things done, still make people think you're okay. But your body knows, your mind knows, your relationships know. Because the cracks start leaking out in the way you speak, in the way you listen, the way you rush, in the way you shut down when you get home. And this is where I want to say something clean. Leaders don't break because they care. Leaders break because they carry too much alone for too long. And that is the line. Because leadership was never meant to be a solo act. Even when you don't have a title, you still lead. And when you lead without a title, you can end up in a weird place. Nobody officially backs you up. Nobody officially checks your load. And nobody officially tells you to stop. So you can't start living your own life always on duty. And when you're always on duty, you stop recovering. You stop resetting. You stop coming back to yourself. You just keep going until something gives. And I need to say this because we talk about leadership like it only lives at work. Parents are leaders too. In fact, parenting might be the most demanding leadership role there is because there's no clock out, no quiet drive home that resets you. No, I'll deal with it tomorrow that actually works. You can leave work carrying stress you didn't ask for. You can be handling pressure, conflict, deadlines, and people's emotions all day. And then you pull into the driveway and the next shift starts. But this shift is different. You see, at work, people might give you space. At home, your kids don't care about your inbox. They don't care how heavy your day was. They just want you. They want your eyes, your patience, your tone, your calmness. And if you're honest, that's where a lot of leaders crack. Not because they don't love their family, because they don't get a gap. They don't get a reset. They go home from leading at work to leading at home without putting the weight down in between. So the pressure leaks. You walk in already tight. You answer a small question like it's one more demand. You fix instead of listening. You get short. Then you feel guilty. Then you try to overcorrect. And the cycle keeps running. And what makes it worse is a story we tell ourselves. I should be able to handle this. I'm supposed to be the steady one. But leadership isn't one role. It's a life, a whole life. And that's why this episode matters. Because when we talk about leaders breaking, we're not only talking about boardrooms and job sites. We're talking about our kitchens, bedtime, homework, that moment when your child is watching your face, reading your mood, and deciding if the room is safe. That's leadership too. And that's exactly why support matters. Because nobody can lead in every room all day alone. So when I say load without support, I mean work. I mean home. Now let's bring this to our round table. And this is what they land on. Stop treating breaking like it's a personal failure. Because most of the time, it's load without support. And when we get there, because leaders keep absorbing things that were never meant to be carried by one person, decisions, emotions, outcomes, expectations, all stack on the same shoulders. So it shows up as patterns. You stop thinking clearly, but you keep moving. You get irritated at small things because you're already full. You pull away from people because you don't want to spill. You start controlling details because you don't trust the ground anymore. And the common mistake is trying to solve it by being tougher. That's just adding weight to a cracked beam. So the table keeps it plain and simple. You don't need to be unbreakable. You need more support than you've been allowing yourself to have. And the question is, who's still close enough to you to tell the truth about how you're doing? That's what the table comes back to. It's not shame or blaming. It's not trying harder. Support, load, and honesty with yourself. Now let's keep going, because this is where people get stuck. When leaders start cracking, the world often sends the same message. Figure it out. Handle it. You're the strong one. So leaders do what leaders do, right? They try to manage it quietly. They tighten their schedule. They become more strict, more intense. And if you're honest, you're probably seeing this. A leader who's cracking doesn't always look sad. They can look sharp, busy, cold, and they can look like control. Because control is like a shield. But here's the problem. Control can keep you functional. It can keep you moving, but it can also cut you off from the very thing that helps you recover. People. So you might hold it all together while slowly losing connection to your team, your partner, your kids, your friends, and even yourself. And that's why this episode matters. Because breaking doesn't mean you're done. It means you need to rebuild the right way, not with more pressure or isolation or pretending, with honesty, support with a load that matches your life. Now, let's make this personal in a way that actually matters. I've had experiences where I didn't want anyone to see how heavy it felt. Not because I was trying to impress people, because I didn't want to disappoint them. I didn't want to be the guy who can't handle it. I didn't want to be the guy who needs help. I didn't want to be the guy who's slipping. So I stayed in motion. I answered fast. I stayed productive. I kept showing up. But the cost showing up in small ways. I wasn't listening all the way. I was solving instead of hearing. I was rushing through the moments that deserve patience. And at home, I'd walk in with my body still tight. Even if I didn't say much, my energy said it. And I hated that because leadership isn't only what you do at work. Leadership is what you bring into the room. Leadership is what people feel from you. And when you are cracking, people feel it. So what changed for me wasn't some big fix. It was a moment of honesty, a moment where I admit it. I'm carrying more than I meant to carry. I'm trying to do this alone. I'm acting like support is a weakness. That is a humbling moment because a lot of leaders secretly believe support is for everyone else. They'll encourage their team to talk. They'll tell their people to take breaks. They'll tell people to reach out. And then they won't do it themselves. So rebuilding starts with a hard shift. You stop treating support like it's something you deserve only after you collapse. You stop waiting until you're at the edge. Because if you wait until the edge, you'll make desperate choices. You'll snap. You'll shut down. You'll disappear. And then when you call it needing space, but a lot of time, it's really avoidance. So let me put this in plain language. If you're the leader and you're cracking, here's what you can stop doing. Stop pretending you're fine. Stop carrying things you never agreed to carry. Stop solving everyone's emotion like it's your job. Stop measuring your worth by how much you can take. And if you're a supporting leader who's cracking, here's what matters. You don't pressure them to talk. You don't rush them to be okay. You don't judge them for needing space. You lower the load. You protect their time where you can. You reduce extra demands. You give them room to breathe without making them feel guilty for needing it. You can stay close enough that they don't disappear into isolation. Because isolation doesn't heal leaders. It harms them. Now, I want to say something that might sting a bit, but it's true. Some leaders don't break from one storm. They break from carrying storms that were never theirs. They carry everyone's mood, everyone's opinion, everyone's stress. They take responsibility for outcomes they can't control. They take blame for things that aren't their fault. They take on emotional work they were never trained for. And after a while, they don't know where the end and where the pressure begins. So rebuilding starts with one honest boundary. This part is not mine. Not set in anger, not said with ego, said with clarity. Because you can't lead well if you're carrying everything. And you also can't lead well if you're trying to be untouchable. The strongest leaders I've ever respected weren't the ones who acted like nothing hit them. They were the ones who stayed honest. They adjusted. They asked for help. They leaned on people. They changed how they worked when weight got too heavy. That's real leadership. It's not stiff or perfect. It's adaptable. Now, if you've been listening and thinking, yeah, that's me, I want you to hear this clearly. Breaking doesn't mean you've failed. Breaking means you've reached a limit, and the limit aren't shameful. They are real. The question is, what do you do next? Do you rebuild the same way you used to live? More pressure, more control, more silence? Or do you rebuild with support, with honesty, with a load that matches reality? So let me ask you, have you ever been the leader who kept it together for everyone while quietly falling apart inside? Have you ever led without a title, just by how you show up? And if you're in a situation right now where you feel yourself cracking, who is close enough to tell you the truth and still stay? Because that's one of the signs you're rebuilding right away. Not that you never struggled, but that you don't have to struggle alone. So what do we hold on at the end of this? Leadership without titles proves leadership is action, not position. Leadership cracks when the load outgrows the support. Rebuilding starts when honesty replaces performance. And support isn't weakness. It's the part of staying steady. That is real leadership. And here's the part I want to leave you with. A leader rebuilding isn't impressive because they bounce back. It matters because they come back clearer, softer, in the right places, stronger in the right places, more grounded. That's the kind of leadership people trust. Next time we'll talk about burnout. Because even after you rebuild, pressure shows up again. We'll get into how burnout isn't the end, but a warning light. How to carry leadership weight without losing yourself. And how meaning changes the way you recover and respond. Before we close, I want to hear from you. Have you ever faced a moment where your leadership cracked? What helped you rebuild? What weight are you still carrying that you want to stop carrying alone? Drop your reflection in the comments. Share your story, your lessons. This isn't just me talking. It's us sitting at the table together. And if you got a story you want to tell, if you want to share what breaking and rebuilding looked like for you, reach out. You could be a guest right here, helping someone else lead through their storm. If you're cracking, stop performing. Rebuild with what's real. Write your own story. Choose what you carry. I'm Chris, and this is A Total Person. Talk soon.
This breath is a gift I cannot ignore. Life at its hardest still offers more. Love in my family,